So there are areas where I definitely agree with Republican voters more than Democratic voters. And that's the thing that's really throwing me for a loop because these are the views that I've always had.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, this is why when you talk, I feel like I can breathe because I think the majority of us that are in the middle who feel orphaned are finding sanity in the things that you're saying.
The left is full of bad policy. I mean, just look at the last few years. You have wide open borders, you have mandates, you have lockdowns, and of course, the defund the police movement. All of these ideas are bad both in theory and in practice, and anyone with a fully functioning brain could easily tell you the downfalls of each one of them. However, the left thinks they're wonderful ideas because they judge the world according to a different standard. They judge the world according to America is a bad place and needs to get some comeuppance. And anyone they view as oppressed on their hierarchy of needs automatically takes precedent over American citizens. So what we're going to see today, of course, is Ana Kasparian coming to the realization that yes, the left's ideas are bad. But before we get to these clips, please like and comment on this video so we can break through the algorithms. Here we go.
Tell me about your moment of when they went after you the first time.
Yeah. So it was so weird because it was unexpected, like super unexpected. In 2022, it was around March. I was walking my dog. It was not quite dark yet, but the sun was setting. As I'm walking my dog, I see these two guys that they were just kind of like moving around weirdly. You know, they seemed kind of manic and their clothes were tattered. So I knew that they were probably homeless. And I also knew that they're probably on something just based on like the twitchy way they were acting. But living in LA, I mean, there's homeless people everywhere, right? So I've never had problems. I didn't think anything of it. But as I was bending down to pick up my dog's mess, one of the guys like grabs me by my hips and he had an erection.
Oh God.
And just starts like humping me. And I didn't know what to do. Like I was terrified. I didn't have a weapon on me.
Yep.
Like I had no way of defending myself. I didn't know how far it was going to go because it's two guys. I'm by myself with my little dog. It was one of the most terrifying things ever because I'm pretty good at defending myself. In that moment, I just knew there was no option.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And luckily, he stopped and they just laughed at me and walked away as they were laughing at me. And so there was the fear and then the humiliation and weirdly shame. Like I felt ashamed for some reason. And it was awful. And it was really taking a toll on my mental health because I have to walk my dog, right? So at least 2 or 3 times a day, I'm going outside kind of scared. And so I opened up about this on the show, not really thinking much of it. And before I know it, I'm starting to get these messages and it's like really, really harsh stuff. And it's about how you are painting a picture of the homeless community. You know, how could you be like this? You know, these are your unhoused neighbors and they need help. A few people accused me of being racist when I had never disclosed the race of the individuals who did this to me. And in fact, they were white. And so like when they started accusing me of being racist, I'm like, wait a minute. Why are you assuming that the people who did this?
Of course.
Yeah, like I think you might have a problem here.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that woke me up.
So let me just say this right out the gate. These homeless people that attacked Ana Kasparian allegedly should be arrested, should be tried, and if found guilty, thrown in jail. Okay, this is a horrible thing to happen. But notice the awakening she's having, right? This awful experience, she shared it with the people of her audience. And what happens? They blame her. They say, stop castigating the homeless people. Stop berating the minorities, all right? This makes zero sense, right? If someone attacks you, they are a criminal and need to be dealt with by the justice system. But as I mentioned earlier, you have this hierarchy of oppression. And if you're on that list, you automatically push everyone else off of it. And that's something that Ana Kasparian has had her eyes open to, right? The unreasonableness of the left, the insanity of the left. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, they talk about victim blaming all the time, and here they are blaming the victim, right? The left has no tolerance for anyone that they perceive goes against their edicts, right? There is no room for debate. You can never be left enough. And that means you're always perpetually apologizing for things that you may or may not have done. In this case, being attacked by a homeless person. I mean, this is complete insanity. But this very thing is what drives normal, rational, sane people away from the left. And it took this horrible experience for Ana Kasparian to wake up a little bit to the insanity that was on her side.
We all get to wake up in the morning and make choices for ourselves. And when I hear the Democratic Party constantly disempower people of color, because that's what they're doing. I mean, really think about it. Like, they keep using this messaging that infantilizes them and makes them seem as though, if it weren't for us white saviors, messing around with these laws and policies, they would never be able to survive. And I find that so gross. I'll give you a specific example. This drove me crazy. Culver City schools. They took a look at their honors program and they realized that there was a real disparity between the white students and the Latino students. Very few Latino students had enrolled in the honors program. So they decided the right thing to do would be to just scrap the honors program altogether. And that pissed me off. And it pissed me off because, first of all, you're not actually addressing the issue here. I think those Hispanic students are capable of greatness.
Right.
You just have to do the work to get them there. And when you scrap the program, you're essentially communicating to all the students, no, we're going to get rid of this opportunity because we don't believe in you guys. It's doing away with an opportunity rather than seeing what the flaws are in our education system and then rising to the occasion to help these students, where we do see the disparity, get to where we want them to be. That's the right way to approach it. But there's just this weird, defeatist mentality. And I'm honestly also very sick of white people going around being offended on behalf of marginalized people.
Oh my God, they're just virtue signaling. It's disgusting.
It
It's
is.
I'm the good guy.
Yep.
Do you remember this? Oh
I will
my
save
God.
you, right?
This is truly indicative of the left. They see everything through the lens of race, right? So when they look at these numbers and they say that, oh, these white kids are enrolling in these honors classes more than the Hispanic kids or the black kids or whatever kids, okay? And what are they going to say? Rather than give opportunity to the kids to actually perform, rather than say, you know what, we're going to see what we can do to raise you up to this level, we're just going to cut it off for everybody, right? Nobody gets it, okay? Because the numbers don't match up equally to what our idea of equity should be. It's just gone for everyone involved. And yes, the great point raised there is that all these white leftist saviors coming out and saying, you know what, we're going to be offended on behalf of the black people, of the Hispanic people, of whoever else, okay? We're going to come out and try to make things better for you because we are the only ones who can do it, because you obviously are incapable, completely incapable of improving yourself, of improving your surroundings, of learning, of getting a voter ID, right? These are all the things you can't do without the leftist white folk. And yeah, who's the ones that are racist?
Since I kind of started speaking out against some of the behaviors of the left or on the left, of course, that led to a lot of backlash from the left because you're only supposed to call out the other side. You should never, hold your own side accountable when they're engaging in intolerant behavior. But once I finally felt comfortable enough to raise concerns about how the left talks about crime, for instance, and things like that, they couldn't wait to purge me. I really did notice that there was this effort to just do away with me. I'm not pure enough. I'm not good enough. You're not one of us. And I had already gotten to a point in my life where I was willing to accept that treatment as long as I was able to speak my mind. And it took me at least a year, if not more, to finally feel comfortable to come out and say, no, the way that we're handling homelessness is not the right way to handle it. No, it turns out that crime is real, and there are some people in society who are a danger and a threat to the public, and they should be in prison. And, I was saying this stuff in the left-wing era of abolish the police or abolish the prison, the prisons. And as they were trying to purge me, you have the right wing asking you to come join with open arms, right? And it's just so interesting to me. So there are areas where I definitely agree with Republican voters more than Democratic voters. And that's the thing that's really throwing me for a loop, because these are the views that I've always had.
Me too.
Yeah.
Oh my God. See, this is why when you talk, I feel like I can breathe. There's a few people out there that, Bill always says sanity needs a safe space.
Yep.
And those voices rise to the top because I think the majority of us that are in the middle who feel orphaned are finding sanity in the things that you're saying.
You mean the left isn't as tolerant as you thought, and the people willing to engage in discussion and conversations are the folks on the right? I bet it's been like that for an awful long time. You just didn't want to admit it, but thank you. All right, come on over to the right side, the rational side, the side that's actually willing to sit down and have conversations, have debate. And I love how Jillian Michaels is like, thank you, right? People can actually have a rational discussion, right? We feel so disenfranchised. Those of us who were on the left and see all this craziness when it comes to prisons, when it comes to law enforcement, we feel politically homeless because the left has no place for us. Because if it's not no cash bail, then it's not justice, obviously, right? So this whole conversation was really enlightening to watch. It's actually pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Anna Kasparian is still a leftist. Jillian Michaels is still a leftist, but they actually have come to the realization that you do have to have some rules. And the progressive leftists want to get rid of anything that they feel is a relic of those patriarchal times. Okay, so thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay safe out there, people, because they're coming after you.